What are the situations that typically set you off? In trading, most of the problem behaviors are problems as the result of under control or over control. Under controlled behavior would be trading impulsively. I suddenly forget about my position limits and I'm trading much larger size than I should be. I'm suddenly not honoring my stops. I know I shouldn't be adding to a losing position, but I keep finding myself doing that. That's an under-controlled behavior. The opposite would be an over-controlled behavior. I'm so anxious I can't pull the trigger and make the trade. My system told me that I was supposed to go long in the morning, and I just sat there and watched the whole damn thing go up and up and up and up. That's an over-controlled behavior.
You heard it. I know I shouldn't be adding to a losing position, but I keep doing it. This isn't a strategy, it's a self-sabotage loop. If you're doing this, you're not trading, you're reacting, and that's exactly how accounts get destroyed. Hello trader, in this video, we're going to break down one of the most destructive behaviors in trading, adding to losing positions and refusing to take a loss. You'll hear directly from some of the most respected voices in the industry, and more importantly, you'll get practical insights to stop this pattern, so you can become a disciplined and profitable trader. Here's the key. If you feel a strong urge to fix a trade by adding more, pause, breathe. Ask yourself, am I managing a position or just protecting my ego? Create a rule. You're only allowed to add when you're already winning, never when you're down. That simple shift will save your account and your mindset. This next clip goes one layer deeper into the why. Why do people stay in losing positions? Why is it so hard to close the trade and move on? Let's hear from Tom Hugard.
I want to tell you a story that truly changed me as a person. When I worked at City Index, no one cared about Northern Rock. It had a base around 600 for a long time. And then in late 2005, it was as if it went on fire. From 700 to 1300, that's 80-90%. But do you think that any of the City Index clients were on board this? No, they weren't. But it gets interesting because Northern Rock peaked, did a double top, and then fell back. And then the curious things happened. No one had been interested in Northern Rock, but now they became interested in it. All of a sudden, people began to buy Northern Rock. Now, a broker doesn't ask a client, why do you buy Northern Rock? But they did. Now, my thinking is that they thought that Northern Rock had become cheap. I call it the supermarket mentality. And the supermarket mentality is a mentality that you see in investors, traders, scalpers, and anything in between. It is universal. We all suffer from it. And I'm okay with it when I'm down in the supermarket. Quite all right. By all means, buy 2 chickens for the price of 1 chicken. Or load up on butter ahead of Christmas. Please, when it's on offer. Sadly, the financial market is a very different proposition. And what really affected me was a phone call that I received after that long thing there. It was Saturday morning and someone called me and said, hey, you gave a talk up here up north, and I just wondered if I could have your opinion. My brother and I want to invest in Northern Rock because we think that it's a fantastic stock and it's probably a rare opportunity that is so cheap. What do you think about that? And I said, well, I'm not so sure it's a good idea, and there's 2 reasons for that. One, supermarket aside, that mentality doesn't work in the financial market. And secondly, let's say you do buy it here, and it miraculously does turn around. You now forged a pathway in your mind that says, hey, next time a really good stock comes along and it's fallen 66% from its peak, now might be a good time to buy as well. And you might get away with the first time, you might get away with it the second time, but overall, you are playing Russian roulette. And sooner or later, you are going to get your head handed on a silver platter. Thank you very much.
Tom made it clear, we don't cut losses because we don't want to admit we're wrong. As long as the position is open, there's still hope. And that hope keeps us from taking responsibility. It's not logic, it's ego. And ego has no place in risk management. Here's a tip. The next time you find yourself hoping a position will come back, say it out loud. I'm wrong on this trade. Seriously, say the words, name it. That simple act helps break the illusion and gives you back control. Now let's take this one step further.
They run their losses because then they don't have to accept that they're wrong. And therefore, they don't receive that jolt of pain from our brain when we've been proven wrong. And as long as the position is open, as long as there's hope. It's one of the reasons why I think that the primary job of anyone who wants to make money trading is to switch around the two primers in our lives, greed and fear, or fear and hope. You see, when you are in a losing position, you're hoping. And the reality is you should be afraid that the position is going to get even worse. I think you have a saying in England saying that hope dies last. And it's so true for trading. We hold on to that belief that maybe it will come good. And it may, and it's even worse when it actually does come good, because then the next time your brain reminds you, well, the last time it worked out, just hold on a little bit longer. I have completely wiped that from my vocabulary.
Tom just exposed the emotional trap we all fall into. Hope. We keep bad trades open because we'd rather delay the pain than face the truth. And worst of all, when it occasionally works, it reinforces the behavior. That's how dangerous it is. If you want to break that cycle, start by doing this. Before every trade, define your exit. Put it in writing. Not just your stop, your reason. And if that reason changes just because the trade moved against you, you're no longer trading. You're negotiating with your ego. And trust me, your ego is a terrible risk manager. Now, let's shift from emotion to discipline. In this next clip, Phil Godeker reminds us what it really means to be a trader. No boss, no accountability, just you, your rules, and your ability to follow them. And if you don't have that, you don't have a business. You have a liability. Let's hear it.
You know, one of the great benefits of being a trader is that we're our own boss. We work from home, and for the most part, we answer to nobody. It's really everybody's dream job. But, you know, on the flip side, there's nobody there to hold us accountable. So let's say we all were to work for a company. It doesn't matter whether it's big or small. And 2 to 3 times a year, we bend the rules. Or 2 to 3 times a year, we just make that same mistake over and over again. And we cost this company tens of thousands or possibly hundreds of thousands of dollars. What would that company say to you? You know, most likely you'd be out of a job. That's why it's so important as self-employed individuals, traders, we hold ourselves accountable for our actions. Now, as a trader, I realize the most important thing I can do on a daily basis is preserve my capital. Taking excessive risk, taking on marginal trades, or adding to losing trades is an easy way for losses to add up.
Phil brings the reality check. If you worked for someone else and made the same costly mistakes, you'd be fired. But as traders, there's no boss, no warning, just your account quietly bleeding every time you bend the rules. Want to stay in the game? Build self-accountability. Treat your capital like it belongs to someone else, someone who will audit every decision you make. Before you enter any trade, ask, would I risk this money if it weren't mine? If the answer is no, don't click. Now let's take a closer look at the logic behind loss cutting. In the next clip, Charles Faulkner breaks down the psychological trap that keeps new traders from exiting losing trades. He contrasts emotional thinking with the mindset of professionals, those who cut risk constantly instead of waiting for a miracle. Let's dive in.
If you were making decisions, imagine if every decision you made was like, oh God, I'm making the decision, it's really important. You know, and you're doing this, and you're getting all upset about this decision. I mean, does that make it a better decision? Here's the thing, when you get into the trading, a number of people have this idea that if they're trading big amounts of money and putting on positions, therefore it ought to be really exciting and upsetting because of all the stuff involved. But the people who do it really well are minimizing risk. For them, it's pretty much the same thing. Now, understand, sometimes there's also confusion about this in terms of cutting losses. The neophyte trader, when he hears cut your losses, will try to cut them to zero. Even if it means waiting for it to go down, waiting for it to come up again, right? And then it goes down. Well, it'll come back because I don't want to take a loss. Which is different from the experienced trader who's going, I cut my losses. I never eliminate them. I just keep cutting them and cutting them and cutting them. So the idea is you never eliminate risk. You're minimizing risk.
Charles makes a crucial distinction here. New traders want every decision to feel exciting, dramatic even. But pros? They keep things boring, emotionless, focused on one thing only, minimizing risk. And that's a shift you need to make. If you feel emotionally charged before placing a trade, like it's some huge moment, take that as a red flag. Real trading is about repetition, not adrenaline. Build a plan, execute it like a machine, and when the loss comes, treat it like a cost of doing business. not a personal failure. Now let's turn to someone who embodies this principle with precision. David Paul walks us through his trading process, how he enters, how he places stops, and most importantly, how he scales up only when he's right. Because real growth doesn't come from avoiding losses. It comes from pressing when you're on the right side of the market. Let's get to it.
I look for a trend, and then I look for an elegant entry into that trend using some form of technical pattern. This can be a breakout pattern, very simple patterns like triangles, ascending triangles, falling wedges, etc. Or more complicated patterns which are based on the Fibonacci sequence. I've also studied the work of a fellow called Richard Wyckoff. Secondly, I like to put my entries where the masses put their stops. Okay. And thirdly, is that when I'm right, I want to add to winners. I want to be bigger when I'm right than I am when I'm wrong. So, and if there's one secret to making lots and lots and lots and lots of money in markets, is that you've got to have the strength to add to your winners. Now, most people, in fact, don't do that. And in fact, most people, in fact, add to their losers.
That's the truth. Most people add to losers instead of winners. Why? Because it feels safer, but it's not. It's just familiar. If you want to grow, you have to flip that instinct on its head. And that brings us to the final step, discipline. In this last message, David Paul gives you a concrete challenge, one habit, one simple plan, and the mental toughness to follow through. This is how you stop guessing, stop reacting, and start trading with purpose. Let's close with this.
To build discipline, folks, you're going to have to grit your teeth and stick to the process. So the first step, put together your trading plan, a simple mechanical plan. The more mechanical, the better. And then my challenge to you, folks, is to follow that plan without deviation for a batch of somewhere between 20 and 30 trades. That's going to take quite a bit of doing. But to build a habit, okay, any habit, you've got to grit your teeth and do it. And then all of a sudden, everybody in this room is 8 to 13 trades away from the trader you want to be. That's all. But very few people get there.
There it is. You don't need more indicators. You don't need more YouTube strategies. You need discipline. One plan, one rule, one commitment to follow through. Every trader says they want consistency, but few are willing to do what it takes to get there. Stick to the process, even when it's boring, even when it hurts. So here's your challenge. Pick your setup, define your stop, respect your plan. Do it for the next 20 trades. No exceptions, no excuses. That's how real traders are made, because the goal isn't to never lose. The goal is to finally stop lying to yourself. And if you want to go deeper into trading psychology, there's a video already on the channel that you can't miss. The 7 best books to master trading psychology and discipline. In it, we explore powerful lessons from legends like Mark Douglas, Brett Steenbarger, Denise Scholl, and David Paul. It's the perfect next step to reinforce everything you learned here. Watch it, study it, build the mindset that makes profits possible. See you there.
I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you found the content useful or fun, please give it a like, as this helps the video reach more traders like you. Remember to subscribe to the channel and activate notifications to stay updated with the latest financial market information and trading tips. Sharing this video with your friends or on your social networks can make a big difference and helps our community become stronger. Your support allows us to continue bringing high-quality content, helping you make more informed decisions in the markets. Thank you for watching, and good luck on achieving excellent results in your trades.